Hey, Ravings and Cravings here, otherwise known as Ruth Hartunian Ellenbaugh, bringing you a show sponsored by the Wyndham Economic and Community Development folks, and thanks to people here at WILI. I am here today with Kelly Bellavance. She and her husband Joe are the innkeepers and owners of Stoneledge Inn right here in Brooklyn, Connecticut. So welcome to you, Kelly.
Thank you so much.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be with you. We're going to get all of the details at the front end, so the radio audience, because they're ready with their pen and paper or their whatever they use to take notes these days. Let's do all of the important things like address, where people can find you, your social media presence, and we'll go from there.
Okay. So our physical address is 42 Hyde Road in Brooklyn, Connecticut. Our phone number is 860-412-0085. And our website is very easily just www.stoneledgeinn.com. So you can do that, or a quick Google search for bed and breakfast in Brooklyn, and we come up.
And Hyde is spelled
Hyde.
Hyde.
Yep.
All right, good. So now we can find you for sure.
Yes. Oh, and the socials. We are
Yeah.
on Facebook and Instagram.
All right, great. So on my Ravings and Cravings page, because you graciously invited me to come stay here overnight
Yes.
and to eat this morning, I did a big photo dump so people can look at, I think, 50 some odd photos.
Yes, they were wonderful.
Of the inside and outside of this beautiful space. And I'm not sure like what to talk about first, but since I usually like food, let's talk about breakfast this
Sure.
morning. So what did we have?
This morning we had a crustless spinach quiche that featured, in addition to the spinach, ham and onions and cheese. We also had rosemary herb breakfast potatoes that are baked in the oven, and some fresh fruit.
Yep, and limitless coffee.
Limitless coffee and cold beverages.
And limitless enjoyment with the people who are in the room today, too, because you had some really wonderful guests.
Yes. We had a couple who was with us from Fairfield, Connecticut, celebrating, was it their 31st? 36th wedding anniversary?
I think something like 36.
36, yeah.
I think so.
So they came up to the quiet corner, and we all got to have breakfast together, and I always try to be respectful of our guests, and sometimes maybe they don't want to have breakfast with Joe and I, but sometimes we join them, and that's really fun for us.
It is fun, and we all enjoyed your company.
Thank
So
you.
tell us, how did you land here in Brooklyn, Connecticut? What happened?
Yeah, so in the height of the pandemic,
Ooh, good timing, yeah.
yeah, in the height of the pandemic, Joe, my husband, has 3 children from his first marriage, and his oldest son and their young family put an offer on a house here in Brooklyn, Connecticut. And I also have some family in the area. My sister and her family have lived in this area for many years. And Joe and I kind of looked at each other and said, if we wanted to move there, we would be near family. And that was how it got started. And after that, we started looking for properties, and Joe found this place, and we knew it could be a bed and breakfast, and the rest is history. It was a bumpy journey along the way, but 2 years later, here we are. We're open and we're going.
Yeah, and so you opened when?
We opened in October of 2022.
And so what did you need to do in order to make this bed and breakfast worthy? This is so like you only get a couple minutes.
I know.
All
so
right.
the property was not a bed and breakfast before. So the first thing was the renovations to the home and making it inn-worthy, but also, something that our guests would want. And so we had to build a couple bathrooms, because I was adamant that each bedroom would have an ensuite bathroom, because that's something I look for when I say at a bed and breakfast. So we got started on those renovations, and then, we had to work with the town to change some zoning for this property to a commercial use, and we worked with the Department of Health to make sure that we had all of their approvals. I took a food safety course. I did things I kind of, knew about, but I've learned more about now, and we got all that stuff together. We got a booking engine for our online reservations. We probably did more than that, but those were the big things.
Those were big things.
Yeah.
And so how have things been going since October?
Things have been going really well. Our original vision was that we were going to open in May of 2022. We didn't get there, so we opened in October. And through hindsight now, I actually think that worked out better. We were busy on weekends through the fall leading into Christmas, which
nice.
gave us a really nice soft opening. It allowed us to kind of work out the kinks in our system. It allowed me to become comfortable serving breakfast because in the beginning I was a nervous mess. You know, and it's different than cooking for your family because people are going to leave reviews and people may not like what you make. And so I had a lot of stress going into that, but people have been so kind and so thankful for breakfast. And then the winter time's been a little slow, and now things are getting busier as we go into spring and summer. And so we're starting to see more guests coming during the week. And I feel really good about that because I feel like I'm in a place to be busier and handle that. I've gotten my cleaning schedule down and, you know, my sheets and turning over rooms. And so I've learned a lot.
Well, I was thinking of a few words that describe the area here, and I came up with a few. One of them is the place has a lot of character. Like if the walls could talk, I'm sure they would have some great stories. So I love places with character, and I love quiet also. And so you have these little nooks and crannies, little places where, talk about those places that, you know, you can just sit down, read a book, journal, whatever. You have a couple places, you called them certain things. If you could tell us.
So down on the first floor, we just have a living room for the guests. And so the way the house is set up is that Joe and I live in the back half of the house, and the front half of the house is space for our guests. So downstairs we have a living room. There are TVs in every bedroom, and we were conscious to not put a television in that living room as we wanted it to be a space for gathering, talking, reading, relaxing. So there's a couch and an overstuffed sized chair there. There's also two smaller chairs with a game table, and we put some games out there. Joe and I love cards and games, so we wanted our guests to be able to enjoy that if they want to. We have a wraparound front porch, and we put some patio furniture out there for our guests to be able to enjoy the front porch. And then upstairs we have what we call the solarium, and it's a little room that kind of looks like a porch, but it's inside, and it's just a great small reading nook. It overlooks our backyard, so you know if there's any squirrels or deer or foxes running around, you can see those. It's a great place to read a book or have a cup of coffee or a glass of wine, and we love that our guests can really use all of that space and feel like they can relax there if they have the time to do so.
Oh, and it's so comfortable.
Thank you.
And it's so inviting. Like, I don't feel like I'm afraid to sit on something or whatever. And like, I just feel like I can just be myself.
Good. That's exactly what we were going for. And it's really one of the first weekends we were open, we had two young couples come and stay. They came in the same car. They were friends. They rented 2 rooms. And they were the only ones here that weekend. And Sunday morning after breakfast, they all moved into the living room, and they were just sitting in there having their coffee, and they were talking. And as Joe and I were cleaning up, I whispered to him, "They're in the living room. They're talking." I'm like, that warms my heart because we have sometimes been to a bed and breakfast where it's beautiful and it's set up, but you don't really feel like maybe you can just go and sit and relax there.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
We really wanted this space to be accessible and cozy and inviting for guests.
Well, I think you nailed it.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. That's good to hear because you're never sure how it turns out. So thank you.
Well, and with the other guests who were here, it was like just talking to people that you're just getting acquainted with. There was actually conversation kind of thing. I think I was the only one glued to my phone. So I'll apologize now for that.
No, it's fine. It's fine. And it has been really nice as we've talked to guests, and when we hear guests who don't know each other talk to each other, we're like, they're talking. Like, so it's, we geek out on that stuff pretty good. So it's been fun.
The other phrase that came to mind while I was staying here was that this was a place that carves out a space for people to breathe. You know, like, I don't feel like the world is choking me right now. You know, it was a place where I could just let the thoughts trickle down and enjoy the surroundings.
I'm glad to hear you say that. You know, one of the things that we talked about as we bought this house, and when we moved here from just outside of Boston, so we're not native to the area. And one of the things that we talked about was, you know, what is the need for overnight lodging in Brooklyn, Connecticut? Will we sell rooms? Will people be coming here? You know, we weren't really sure about that. And one of the things that we talked about was, especially coming out of the pandemic, the idea that, you know, the way people vacation and spend their time might be different now. And like, you know, maybe instead of going to a large city where there's a lot of people, maybe I want to check out the quiet corner of Connecticut, and I want to find a space that's quiet and relaxed. And,
Absolutely.
And, you know, we were hoping to really provide that for our guests. And, you know, we're very lucky with the road that we're on, and the trees, and this house is old and the trees are old, and there's a lot of shade, and there's just, it's a very relaxing area inside and outside the house.
It is. I mean, it's what, 15, 20 minutes from Willimantic, from where I live?
Yeah.
Not that far. I know when I still had small children, I was always afraid to be far away from them. So for people who have small children, I mean, 15 minutes and your babysitter, and you can still get there. If
Absolutely.
you need to get there.
Absolutely.
Well, what were you guys doing before you became innkeepers?
Yeah. So both of our backgrounds is actually in college admissions. Joe worked for 30 years, and he was the dean and vice president of enrollment at a couple different institutions.
Wow.
I was an admission counselor at a couple different places in Boston, and that's actually how we met, was through a professional conference for work. In 2019, he actually went out on his own, and he started his own consulting business, and so he continues that today and works with different colleges and their enrollment offices, helping them meet their enrollment goals. I left college admissions a year after we moved here to start doing this. So he still has his foot in that world a little bit, and I've completely left it behind.
Yeah, but you probably brought your people skills and with you, and some other skills that you have. Right?
Absolutely. It's been really interesting how there is a lot of crossover in the skills between these two things, even though I never thought of them as being related before. You know, when I left my previous job and I told one of my coworkers what I was doing, he said, you know, in college admissions, you don't get to make a lot of people happy. You know, and I was working at a highly selective institution, so unfortunately we gave bad news to a lot of families. And he said, you know, in your new job, he's like, there's not going to be one person whose life isn't made a little bit better by coming and staying with you and Joe. And that was such a nice thing to say. And you know, hosting people and welcoming them is certainly something that you gain in admissions, and that skill is very transferable to what we're doing here. So,
but I'm sure you make a lot more people happy here than you would.
I think so. I think so, and that feels good. It feels good to make everyone happy as opposed to giving people bad news. So,
definitely.
Yeah.
So let's pause. Let's do the name of the business, the address, phone number, all that good stuff.
Yep. So we are the Stoneledge Inn. We're at 42 Hyde Road in Brooklyn, Connecticut, and that's HYDE. Our phone number is 860-412-0085. Our website is stoneledgeinn.com, and we are on Facebook and Instagram.
Great. So what is your dream for this place? Do you have a kind of a marker where you say, you wake up one morning and you go, we have arrived? Is there anything like that?
You know, I feel like I should have an answer to that
question. I don't know.
Question.
I mean,
I feel like I should. I will tell you, I have never been, I am a planner, and I will plan up to like a year out, but like long term, I've just never been that, like when people say, what's your 5-year plan? What's your 10-year plan? I'm like, oh girl, I don't have one. Like I have learned that life throws you opportunities and change.
That's okay. Because sometimes I don't even have a 5-minute plan.
Yes, exactly.
All right.
So, you know, I mean, I really think that for the past couple years, it was really get this up, get this running, adjust to that. And I feel like, you know, we're starting now to settle into things being open. And the next big thing for us is figuring out how to make sure that we have a life away from work, because this is something that's in our home, and it can really be all encompassing.
Definitely.
And that's okay, but we need to work at, you know, a balance as we get busier. So I think, you know, figuring out, you know, how busy we want to be, how busy we need to be. We're very fortunate that we have Joe's business for another source of income. You know, so just finding that balance. And I think for those couple years with the renovations, it was like, we just have to get open. We just have to do this.
Yeah.
And now I guess the next thing is just figuring out how we do this and have our life and find that balance.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I appreciate that. I want to mention I'm here with Kelly Belvance.
Yes.
So I had to say her name again because I really like that last name.
It's nice.
It's kind of like musical.
I know. I mean, and I can say it's weird. It's my last name, but I married into it, and but I was psyched when I was like, oh my god, we're getting married. I'm gonna have a good last name. Like this is it's beautiful. It's a beautiful last name.
Looks good on your business card.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
So let's kind of transition into how you made those rosemary potatoes. That's what I want to know.
They are so simple. You dice up some fresh rosemary. Mm-hmm. You dice up your Yukon Gold potatoes.
Yukon Golds.
Throw them in a bowl. A little bit of olive oil, a little bit of butter, a little bit of salt and pepper. Bake them on a pan.
That's it.
That's it.
I thought it was going to be rocket science, but
yeah,
no.
It's the easiest. It's one of the easiest things I do for breakfast.
They're yummy.
Thank you.
They were yummy.
I really like them. I never met a potato I didn't like, so you know.
Well, and they're gluten-free.
Yes.
Whew.
Yes.
I know, for a world that's so gluten. Speak to how you deal with people who have dietary needs when they come here.
So thankfully, our booking engine asks people that when they're making a reservation.
Oh, that's good.
So they're able to tell us, you know, if there's anything that they're allergic to or if they are vegan or vegetarian. So usually I know right at the time of reservation, you know, if I need to be thoughtful, you know, more thoughtful in my menu. And one of the things that I try to do is that I don't want to give someone with dietary restrictions a different thing to eat than everybody else. I try to make it so that I'm making the same thing for everybody.
Good for you.
And
great.
that way then that person isn't necessarily singled out. It's not always possible, you know, depending how restrictive things are. But to be very honest with you, so far, I have been surprised at the low numbers of allergies and restrictions that we've had in our reservations. It hasn't been as numerous as I thought. So I don't know if that'll change down the road. But I was a little bit nervous about that in the beginning because my family and Joe and I, you know, were very fortunate to not have any allergies. So I've never had to be conscious of that. And it's just, you know, you just have to think about it a different way and make sure that you're using the right ingredients and you go from there. So
talk about your rooms and accommodations. What do you have to offer the public?
Sure. So we have 3 rooms. Each room is a 2-person maximum occupancy, so we can host 6 people at one time. Each room has their own bathroom. 2 of our rooms have a queen bed. Our 3rd room has a king size bed. 2 of our rooms are upstairs, and 1 of our rooms is downstairs on the 1st floor. I will say that the inn itself, given the age of this place, is not accessible. There are some steps inside the house, but there is a room on the 1st floor for someone who maybe doesn't want to do a full flight of stairs to get to their room.
Yeah.
So, you know, we talked about some of the public spaces earlier. In addition, you know, outside we have a propane fire pit with some Adirondack chairs around it.
Nice.
So we want guests to be able to enjoy that when it's weather like we're having right now. And then there's complimentary Wi-Fi, high-speed Wi-Fi, and I'm sure I'm forgetting all kinds of things. We do have air conditioning in each of the rooms, and that was something that I was very adamant about because
it's nice.
I won't stay somewhere that doesn't have air conditioning.
So I turned my unit like down to the lowest that I could go.
Yeah, nice.
If it would have been cold enough with the windows open, I would have done that. But I turned it way down. I was like, can it go lower than 61? No, I guess not.
I don't think so. Yeah.
61 is the
I know,
number.
I tried it too.
We've all tried that, right? So if someone wanted to like book the entire facility, they could do that, right? So maximum people for the entire place is how many?
6.
It's 6.
Yeah, so absolutely. Our booking engine allows one guest to book multiple rooms or all of them.
Right.
And we have had some people do that. I will say that in our policies, we do not allow children under the age of 14. And our goal was to really market towards couples looking for a weekend away or time away together. We also, while I love animals and my childhood goal was to be a veterinarian, we unfortunately do not allow pets. And that's only because, you know, we've put a lot of care into our home, and unfortunately not everyone loves pets, and so we want all of our guests to be comfortable. So, but, you know, guests can certainly book 2 or 3 rooms if they're available, and our online calendar is always up to date with our availability, so...
I almost went into veterinary medicine too. What was your favorite animal?
Horses.
Mine would have been dogs.
Yeah.
Horses, they're scary for me, but
Yes, and it's funny then somewhere along the line in high school, someone was like, you have to take a lot of science classes and you have to go to school for like 8 years, and that kind of sealed the deal. So I guess I didn't love animals as much as I thought I did.
Well, you live in a barn now, so I guess
do,
that counts, right?
Yeah.
So, do you have gift certificates available? Like if someone wants to gift
Yep.
an opportunity to someone?
Yep. So that is not available to purchase online, but someone can just give us a call, and I can certainly book that over the phone for them.
Okay.
And then we just email a gift certificate to either the person calling, if they want to print out a PDF and present it to someone as a gift, or we can email it directly to the recipient, whatever that person wants.
Great, great.
Yeah.
So you covered all those bases.
Yeah.
You're making it easy for people to walk through the door
Yep.
and come here.
Yep.
The view, like when you just come driving up the street, it's stunning.
Thank you.
And I didn't notice where the parking spaces were because I had my eyes glued on the building. So, I mean, I would encourage people to come out here. I'm here at the Stoneledge Inn talking to Kelly Bellavance. She and her husband Joe are the innkeepers/owners of the Stoneledge Inn. They do have a really nice presence on Facebook. So if you ever wonder what's going on, that is a great place to go for information. What would you want to add? What have I not covered? What would you like people to know that I didn't get to yet?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, I mean, probably most of the listeners to this show are familiar with the Quiet Corner, but I think, just to know that this is a really nice place to come and just get away if you're looking for a night or two away, but you don't have time to travel real far. And we just try to make the whole experience as comfortable and easy as possible. And to be honest with you, my whole mantra has been based off of, what do I want at a bed and breakfast? And Joe and I, have had the opportunity to stay at different places over the years, and I just try to feel like if I was a guest here, and that's why we have the cold beverage fridge, because I need water at every place we go. So I want to make sure that our guests have access to that and don't have to run down to the store. So, we try to, do those little things. And when it comes to breakfast, I have just tried to take the tact of, I want to make something that's familiar, accessible, but maybe just a little bit different than what you'd make for yourself at home. So it feels a little bit special. But I'm not a classically trained chef. I've never taken a cooking class. And this is just, like many people, what I've learned from my mom and my grandma and cooking over the years. And, in the words of some of our first guests, breakfast is fun. And that's what we try to do. So it's a great way to start the day.
It is, and it was a great way to start my day today.
Thank
That's
you.
for sure. I didn't post the pictures of breakfast yet, but I will. I will get to that. And people, I did update Google Maps, so if you go to their Google entry, you'll see a ton of my pictures there too. So you can maybe catch the bug and come to Brooklyn, which is Quiet Corner, but. It's a happy racket too.
Yeah.
If it wants to be, right?
Absolutely. There's lots more to do here than I thought originally. And being new here myself, I'm still learning. But there's lots of great little things to do here. So it's a hidden gem. And I guess maybe we don't want to advertise it too much because maybe we want it to stay that way a little bit.
Well, I don't know. After this show, you might get like a ton of bookings, and you may have to shut down because there's no room in the inn anymore.
No room
right?
in the inn anymore.
No room in the barn. No room in the inn.
That's right.
Well, it's a beautiful day out here in Brooklyn. I want to thank you, Kelly, for being here with me.
Thank you for coming. It's been great to have you.
It was an honor. It was a pleasure. I just can't tell you how much I'm raving about this today.
Wonderful.
So I appreciate your hospitality. This is Ruth Hartunian-Ellenbaugh signing off here on Good Company WILI.